and good afternoon. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank those of you that put up with our technical difficulties earlier today, and I hope you're all checking back in again so that you can see this once we put it up. It's just been kind of a harrowing technical day, but here we are nonetheless. Well, hi, Susan. I'm glad you're here. Oh my goodness, bless your heart. Well, it's you and me, kid, and whoever else decides to tune in and check with us later on. We will be posting this right after we're finished, and it'll be there for everybody that wants it and would like to share it as well. So, my question for you today is what's on your mind? This lovely Mother's Day. Are you looking forward to celebrating your mother? To celebrating being a mother? To celebrating the rest of your life? What a concept, huh? Are you looking forward to all of that? Or have you been brooding over something that happened with or to mother in a yesterday? Or are you fearful about something that may or may not happen in a tomorrow? If you are looking forward to the day, to the week, to your life, then this is a good Mother's Day. And so likely will be all the days that follow. But if you're brooding or fearful or angry or sad, let's talk. Because, my friends, what you fear most really is very likely to come upon you. If the dominant thought in your mind is one of fear or frustration or anger, or any one of those emotions that science tells us is detrimental to your well-being, your thinking will attract that into your life. Not only will you create physical symptoms, you will also create a mental atmosphere that is dark and sad and foreboding. And you will become a magnet for whatever it is your mind is focused on. So, whether it's about mother this Mother's Day or about you, know this: Job had it right. What I fear most comes upon me. Now, I don't know if Job understood the metaphysics of all of that. Probably not. But he was working with a God that was trying to win a bet with the devil and, at the same time, prove a point. And while I don't believe in a God who was playing a game of truth or dare with a devil, I do believe that the point that he was making was right. We attract to ourselves the reality of our dominant thoughts. So, clearly, if what I fear most can come upon me, and I don't want it to come upon me, I've got to change my thinking. Because where else does the fear come from but my mind? Yeah, I know you might be thinking, yeah, she says it, but it's not so easy. Actually, you may even be saying it out loud since you know that on Facebook I can't hear you. But even though I can't hear you, I can sense you. So tell me why. Why isn't it easy? Go ahead, say it out loud. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Why isn't it easy to change your mind? There could be lots of reasons, You're self-programming. You're you've had that idea since you were a child. It's hard to shake it. Um, the whole world thinks that way. A lot of reasons. So now let me tell you something. It can be difficult, but it can be easy. What you think and not the way it is will determine how it is for you. Think it's hard? Then it's hard. Think it might be easy? And it just might be. Expect it. Believe it. Be determined that it's easy. And so it is. Here's a question for you. Do you think it's easy for God, Spirit, creation, to change its mind? You shouldn't have to think too hard on that. It's kind of a no-brainer. I give you evolution. Creation, changing its mind, changing things to make them work better. So here's something to think about. There is no such thing as your mind, my mind, and God's mind. There is only one mind, the mind of creation, the mind in which we all live and move and think and have our being. Now, I want you to be clear that I'm not referring to your brain. We all have one, and most people use theirs, some in very creative ways. I'm referring to the mind that uses the brain, the thinker that can think about thinking, the visionary that sees without sight, the feeler that senses what cannot even be seen. It's our individualization of spirit that moves in and through all of life and in and through each of us. Ernest Holmes once wrote, "We are surrounded by an intelligence that knows everything." The potential knowledge of all things exists in it. The abstract essence of beauty, truth, and wisdom coexist in it. We also exist in it and may draw from it whatever we need from it. But what we draw, we must draw through the channel of our own minds. See, there's the real issue as I see it. What we draw from it, we draw through the channel of our own mind. The problem with that is that a lot of us think that the channel is only open during special times, and by appointment, if it were, or as if it were a store with specific hours of operation. Here's what we all need to know. The channel is always open. And that can be both good and bad news. Because it is always open, we always have access to creation. And because it is always open, we are always being creative. And whatever the dominant thoughts in our mind are, that is what is being created in our lives. See, it's not as easy as you make an appointment with God and you sit down and you say, look, I learned today that I'm only supposed to speak affirmatively. So here I go. I am rich, I am powerful, I am healed, I am whole, I am happy, I'm in a fabulous relationship, I have a job that I adore. All of my relationships are fantastic. Got it, God? Good. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. And then we go off and think or do or act any way we want at all. Mostly we think the way we've always been thinking. Is that bad or good news? Let me ask you again. What's on your mind? Let's take mother. It's a good day for that. Good mother experience? Bad mother experience. It was what it was. And it's past, or pretty near past, probably, for most of us. If it was good, great. Not so good, well, it helped make you who you are, didn't it? The good news is that we can recreate or uncreate by changing our minds. Not the past, but how we feel about it. Not what was done, but how we respond to that today. Who we let it make us. Nothing is set in concrete. All things change. Evolve. All things are alive. And being alive, they are subject to change. As long as you are still breathing, and possibly beyond that, there is hope. Life is transformed. Bodies are healed. Hearts are mended. Minds are cleared. Questions are answered. Peace and power and poise are attained. As old, negative, limiting thoughts and beliefs are replaced by new, positive, unlimited thinking. Thinking is the most creative thing we can possibly do. And we are creating with our thinking all the time. Thoughts are things. Emerson once wrote that great men are they who see that spiritual is stronger than any material force, that thoughts rule the world. And Paul, who I personally don't think got everything right, but certainly had a way with words, said in his letter to the Romans, "Be ye transformed." You know how it goes. "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." I know that there are a lot of influences on us out there. Holmes called it race thought. Those things that we just accept as being true because everyone thinks so. And it often feels like it is difficult to go against the tide of common thought. But common thought is not always right. There was a time when everyone thought the world was flat, that if you went to the edge of it, you would fall off into the abyss. And there was a time when everyone thought that women were inferior. See? Old times. And then there was a time when even the director of the Copyright Bureau thought that everything that could be invented had been invented, and he suggested that the Bureau be shut down in the 1800s. They are not always right. And even if they were right at one time, that time may have passed. Things change. Minds change. And as minds change, the world changes. Back to that quote from Paul, because we don't often hear the whole thing. What he actually wrote was this: "Do not be conformed to the world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect." So, if what God wants what is good and acceptable and perfect for you. And if you want what is good and acceptable and perfect for yourself, and you don't just now have what is good and acceptable and perfect, what do you need to renew in your mind that isn't working for you? The point is this: no matter where you picked up that not working for you thought about yourself or your world or your life or your relationships, wherever you picked it up, you might want to put it down. Even if your mother gave it to you as a gift, it may have been true for her. It doesn't have to be true for you. Mother did a lot of things for you, right or wrong. You're here. But she can't do it all. She never could. She may have changed your diapers, but it's up to you to change your mind. We need to come to realize that our thoughts are constantly creative. And our thoughts left unobserved may not be creating exactly what we want to live with. So, what's on your mind? Have you looked lately? Are you paying attention to that? We must know. We must have the presence of mind to know that we have the mind of the presence. Ernest Holmes again. Because the mind of man is the mind of God in man, the mind of man is to man what God is to the universe. The mind of man is to man what God is to the universe. Powerful. Awesome. Frightening. Mind your mind. Train it to think what you want to think, to feel what you want to feel. But how? Isn't that the big question? Not so much the what. Once we engage our brain, our intellect, the theories make sense. It all fits together. The how becomes the challenge. Easy. Now watch what you're thinking. Think easy. It really can be easy. Remember last week's message, last week's exercise? There's me saying that and I don't say that anymore. Remember? Okay, here's this week's mantra. There's me thinking that, and I don't think that way anymore. Say it with me. There's me thinking that, and I don't think that way anymore. See? Easy. Okay, it may not work instantaneously, and then again it might. There's no law that says it can't. It may take a little while. You may find yourself repeating that mantra more often than you thought you would. But here's what I can tell you, from personal experience. If you are willing to do that, to watch your thinking, to realize that you are thinking something you don't want to be thinking, that you may be creating something you don't want to live with, if you will say that mantra often enough, the day will come when you realize you don't think that way anymore. It works. It really works. When you find yourself thinking in a negative or unproductive way, use the mantra. There's me thinking that, and I don't think that way anymore. When you find yourself digging a mental hole to jump into, use your mantra. There's me thinking that, and I don't want to think that way anymore. Leave out the want. Don't put in the want, or you'll get to want to not think that way anymore. When you find yourself blaming someone for the past, or fearful of something in the future, when you find yourself rehearsing a victim story that you have told over and over and over again, when in your heart you really know you want to be free of that role, when you hear a whining voice in your head and you realize the voice is your own, stop and think and use the mantra. There's me thinking that, and I don't think that way anymore. You don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be a martyr. You don't have to be anything you don't want to be. But you do have to learn to listen to your own thinking, to the conversations that play and replay in your mind. If you don't like the script, if you're tired of the results, use the mantra. There's me thinking that, and I don't think that way anymore. The power within you knows no bounds. If you can create partners and palaces and parking spaces, and I know you can create your best life. It's the same power, just different focus. Did you just lose it? All right. Something strange happened on my screen, but we'll just stay with it for a little bit here. Where your mind is, there is creation. If you think something is too big for you, it will be not because it is or because it has to be, but because you think it is so. Where your mind is, there is power. There is your future. But you have to choose it. In another letter, he wrote many of them, Paul writes, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Have the presence of mind to know that you have the mind of the presence and use it wisely. So I'm going to ask again. What's on your mind? It's Mother's Day. What's on your mind? If she was a great if she was a great-minded mom, thank her. If she wasn't, will you choose to be? Perhaps her only real job was to bring you into the world so that you could change the world. You do that by changing your mind. If you find the wrong thoughts surging through your brain, you know what to do. Use the mantra. Mom can't do it for you. You are officially responsible for your own life. That's my Mother's Day gift to you. Use the mantra. Change your mind. Call your mother if you want to. Whatever you do, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, and have the happiest Mother's Day ever. I've loved being with you on this Mother's Day. It's made my day. I hope it's made yours.